This is the second video on binomial distributions, and this video is really a setup video for the third video. In this video we only want to do one thing. We want to talk about the binomial coefficient. And the binomial coefficient is, a symbol for it is defined like this. And it's defined as n factorial over n minus k factorial, and that's called the binomial coefficient. And let me show you an example. 7, 2. 7, 2 is defined as, if you notice, n is this number, so n is 7 here. So that's 7 factorial over n minus k factorial. So that's 7 minus 2 factorial, right? So if you notice here, n is 7 and k is 2. Well, this is just 7 factorial over 5 factorial, 2 factorial. And most calculators can do this, and I'll show you in a second the notation that your calculator probably uses. But we can do this fairly easy by hand. 7 factorial is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That's the definition of factorial. 5 factorial is 5 factorial. It's 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And then you multiply by 2 factorial, which is 2 times 1. And if you notice here, a lot of these cancel out. So the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 1 cancels with the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 1. And you end up with 7 times 6 over 2 times 1, which is 42 over 2, which is 21. In other words, 7, 2, the binomial coefficient, is simply equal to 21. So let's just review something really quick. If we talk about n factorial, the easiest way to see that is example. If you talk about 5 factorial, that's simply 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And 4 factorial is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And as an example, if you have 6 factorial over 3 factorial, you can always cancel them out to some extent. That's 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And this is 3 times 2 times 1. And if you notice, what happens is the 3, the 2, and the 1 cancel with the 3, the 2, and the 1. And that becomes 6 times 5 times 4. I got these backwards a little bit. 6 times 5 times 4, which is 120. Now, you might have seen this written a different way. N choose k is one way. It can also be written as NCK. And in probability, or in counting, you often call this a combination. And that's not the way that we're using it necessarily here directly, but it's the same, this is actually the same problem. And this is what it'll look like on your calculator. So you should look for this button on your calculator. And often it's underneath a button called PRB for probability. So you can look and see at that. Let's do one more example. Let's do 6 choose 4. 6 choose 4 is 6 factorial over 6 minus 4 factorial, 4 factorial, which is 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 6 minus 4 is 2, so that's 2 factorial, so that's 2 times 1 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And if you notice, the 4, 3, 2, and 1 cancels with the 4, 3, 2, and 1. and you get 30 over 2, or 15. Now there's another place that you've seen this, and this is not something you need to memorize, but it is interesting and it can be helpful, is if you draw a Pascal's triangle, each one of these elements is just a binomial coefficient. And the way that we count this is we start counting with row 0. So if this is row 0, that's row 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is row 5. And the row is equal to the n. And if we start k here at 0, and we count over 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say this one, we pick this one right here. In this case right here, n is 5 because it's the 5th row. And it's 0, 1, 2, k is 2. Let's do it, draw our 2 like a 2. Right? Why 2? Because you go 0, 1, 2. So now let's do 5, 2, the binomial coefficient. That's 5 factorial over 3 factorial 2 factorial, which is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 3 times 2 times 1 times 2 times 1, right? Everybody see that? Let's go back over it. Starting with row 0, that's row 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the 5th row. So n is 5. And counting over, starting with 0, that's k is equal to 0, 1, 2. So this element right here is n is equal to 5 and k is equal to 2. And if we look at that, the 3, the 2, and the 1 cancels with the 3, the 2, and the 1, and we get 20 over 2, or 10, which is exactly that number. And that's what you need to know about binomial coefficients, and we'll actually talk about the formula for binomial probability in the next video.